Hey everyone, I'm Julie McNamara, counselor at Gross Catholic High School, and I'm joined here with my friend Joan Jurek from Education Quest, and today we're going to talk about the FAFSA.
Woohoo! My favorite topic.
Joan, can you tell us, what is the FAFSA?
The FAFSA acronym stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, and it's a government form that all students should complete in order for the colleges to review them for financial aid.
Okay, you just said all students should complete. I was going to ask you who needs to do this, right? And you've already said all students.
Everyone.
So here's my question. You know, sometimes I hear families say that they think that they make too much money and they're not going to get any federal grant money, and I really don't want to take the time to fill out the FAFSA, so we're just going to pass on it because we're not going to get anything anyway. You know, how should we respond to that?
We do hear that a lot. And remember, the FAFSA stands for free. It's a free application. Fill it out. I tell families, unless they're prepared to pay cash over the counter, fill out the form, because oftentimes the colleges will use that information to determine what other institutional money they can give the student. So while they may not be eligible for need-based money from the government, they might get something from the college. Also, student loans are federal aid, so in order to get federal loans, you have to complete the FAFSA.
So there are definitely benefits, and maybe even some hidden benefits that families are unaware of, that by filling out the FAFSA they may get to benefit from.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, now I know October 1st is the big date. That is when the FAFSA opens up for the next group of families to complete the application. Is there a deadline for completing the FAFSA?
Well, there isn't really a deadline. More importantly, there's what we call a priority dates.
Okay.
So every college has a priority time frame of when they suggest that that FAFSA should be completed, so that way they can review the student for priority funding. And as long as you meet the priority date of that school, the student's going to be reviewed for all type of funding.
That's good. And I guess it would make sense that the sooner they get the FAFSA completed, the sooner they're going to get those award letters or financial aid
Right.
packages from the school, which then will help them to begin whittling down their college list and really deciding on which school is going to be the best fit for them.
Absolutely.
So it just kind of helps move that process along if you can get that FAFSA completed and get that information back from the colleges.
But don't panic. You don't have to have it done on October 1st.
No.
It just opens up.
That's when it starts.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, you need some things to complete the FAFSA.
Oh,
Let's
yes.
talk about those things. I know one of the big things we start with is tax information.
Yep.
So if I have a student starting school in 2021, so the fall of 2021, that would be our
Okay.
graduating seniors this year,
Uh-huh.
what taxes do they need to complete the FAFSA?
So students who are going to enter college in 2021, you're going to go back 2 tax years, which would be the 2019 income taxes. If you're not starting college till the fall of 2022, then you're going to use 2020 taxes basically. Okay?
Okay, so it's always 2 years prior to the fall of the student starting school.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Now I know, we've had some interesting circumstances in the past year.
Yeah.
So what are some things, if that 2019 tax report doesn't reflect maybe some things that have happened in my family, maybe, one or
Current
both of the
status.
families, lost a job in the past year, and that's not going to be reflected on the FAFSA or on the tax records, then what can a family do?
Families should definitely reach out to their colleges if they have any kind of special circumstances that is not current to their tax information that they've last filed, basically. So they should work with the colleges to do special circumstances, or what we call an appeal, to say, hey, this is my situation now. This is what's going on. I've lost a job. We've had a death in the family. We've had extenuating medical bills. Those types of questions are not asked on the FAFSA, and they're not reflected on that tax return that you have to use.
Right. So when a college gets that information, they may be able to reevaluate your financial package, and they may be able to offer some additional money to help out.
Yes.
Not a guarantee, but
Right.
You can't get any if you don't ask.
Right. And every school is different too. So if they're looking at several colleges, yes, you need to work with each individual college because they're all going to have their own standards.
Sure. And as always, if you have questions about any of this, you could always ask your counselor or you could contact Education Quest.
Absolutely.
I do want to point out on Education Quest's website, they have a fantastic checklist that you can get. You can get that list and then you can collect all that information so that when you sit down to begin the FAFSA, you have everything collected right there on the table with you, and going through that process of filling out that free application can be a little bit easier. So if you want to go to Education Quest website, look for that checklist, print that off, or just use it on the screen. You can collect all that information that you're going to need for that. Okay, so where and how do we fill out the FAFSA? Where do we do this? How does this happen?
Well, remember again, FAFSA free application for federal student aid. It's always free to file. So you should go to the studentaid.gov website.
One more time, studentaid.gov. That's where you'll go on your computer and find that free application to complete.
Yes.
Okay, so one of the first things that a student and parent is going to have to do is complete an FSA ID, which is basically a username and a password for the site. This information is unique to you and your student, and it's something that should be held onto and kept safe because every year your student is in college, they're going to want to complete the FAFSA.
Yes.
And this username and password can be used every year for completing that next FAFSA.
Right.
So good information to hold onto in a safe place. All right, Joan, what if I get going on the FAFSA and I'm not able to complete it because I have to go pick up my son from soccer practice or something like that, and I've been working on it? Are you able to come back and finish completing it at another time?
Absolutely. So there is a save option on there, and the form automatically saves for you as you go through it kind of section by section, but you can hit the save button too and know that you can come back to it. It does say for 45 days, so don't wait too long because there is a time limit on it, but 45 days you have until you go back out, relog into it.
Perfect. Okay, so let's say I've completed the FAFSA, I submitted, hit that button, and now what happens?
Woohoo! Now it goes to the federal government for processing. And it takes about 3 to 5 days for the government to process it. Once it's done, then the student receives an email saying your student aid report is available, or the SAR, another acronym. The student aid report is available. That student aid report also gets released to the colleges that you've listed on the FAFSA form. So those colleges receive that same information that you, the student, receives.
So it's nothing that I have to send myself.
Right.
Right. Within the form, I'll list schools that I want that FAFSA to go to, want that information to go to, and the colleges will automatically receive it.
Yes.
Okay, so what is this EFC?
The Expected Family Contribution, acronym number 3 for the day. EFC, Expected Family Contribution. That is a dollar amount that will show up on the student aid report. That is the number that the colleges say they will use to determine your overall financial aid package. So the government has calculated that EFC, what you, the family, should be able to contribute towards the cost of going to school. More than likely, you will not agree with that EFC number, just the way it works. But the colleges will ultimately use it to determine how much money the student can receive and what kind of money.
Right. So what I've found, I know that in addition to the colleges getting this information, sometimes there are need-based scholarships that require a certain EFC to apply for a scholarship. So again, that's information that's important to have because that may qualify you for some additional need-based scholarships that are outside the university, you know, that we find in other places, in senior newsletters or on websites or through Education Quest, Scholarship Quest. So
right.
That EFC is an important number. Okay, so let's talk about verification. This is something that is a little confusing at times.
It is confusing, and it's probably the number one reason that holds a student up from receiving their financial aid package from a college.
Okay, so what is verification?
Verification is where the government or the college has randomly selected you to verify the information you've given them on the FAFSA form. And you may say, well, I've already told them that. Yeah, but it's a federal process, so it's kind of like a mini audit that you have to then verify certain data. So they might ask for a copy of your tax return, your W-2s, your household information. But again, if you don't comply and return the documents, that's going to hold up the student's whole process.
So how do I know if I'm selected for verification?
So when a student is accepted for admission to a college, they are going to be asked to create a portal, a student online account. That student online account is going to be the communication road, if you will, between the college and the student. And the student needs to be checking that online account daily, pretty much after they complete the FAFSA, because the college is going to ask for the information through that portal.
Okay, and so if I'm selected for a verification, does that mean that I made a mistake when I completed my FAFSA?
Not usually, never. But yeah, she's correct. It doesn't mean that anything is wrong. It's just, again, an auditing process.
And you're randomly selected, so maybe you're lucky.
Yes. And then if you are lucky year 1, you probably are lucky year 2, 3, and 4.
Okay, so if you're selected once, it's maybe likely that you could be selected year after year. So
Yeah.
be aware.
Be aware.
Be aware of that. Okay. So if a family needs help completing the FAFSA, maybe they have some interesting circumstances, or maybe they just want to help to make sure that they get it done right. Education Quest?
Education Quest. You're welcome to call our office if you just have questions. If this is your first time and it's a little intimidating, you're also welcome to call and make an appointment with us.
Do you know that phone number off the top of your head?
I think so.
Okay.
402-391-4033. And you can always go to educationquest.org. As Julie mentioned, we have a great FAFSA checklist on there, great tools, tutorial information that you can look at as well to help you out through the process, or our contact information is on there too.
Okay, I think I have one more question.
Okay.
It's a hard one. Are you ready?
Oh, no.
Okay. So what if I've completed the FAFSA and then I realize I already hit submit, and now I realize that I've made a mistake.
Then
Now what? Can I fix my FAFSA?
You can. You will have to wait until it goes through the process at least once, until you get that student aid report back.
Okay.
And then once you get confirmation that it has been completed, then you can go back in using that username and password that we talked about to log back in and then make a correction.
Okay. And if a family needed help making a correction, can they call Education Quest?
Call Education Quest.
All right. So October 1st is the day that you can begin filling out the FAFSA. I would say, as a goal, maybe trying to complete it by the end of the month might be a good time frame. Just so that you can get that ball rolling at the colleges and start getting that information back in your hands, so that your student can make a good, informed decision on their college choice.
Absolutely correct.
All right. Well, folks, I think that's all we have for today. And maybe a video on scholarships is coming up soon.
All right. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.